Broadcasting from the most confused, dumbed-down, monetarily manipulated, and brainwashed nation on the face of the planet with the news they hope you never hear. This is the Power Hour. Okay, here we go, folks. Hour number 3 of today's Monday installment of the Power Hour is now in session. This is Dave.
And Joyce, and I thank you for joining us on the Power Hour today. We're talking to Bob Chapman. He is the editor of the International Forecaster newsletter. You could contact him and get a copy at no charge, the first one, by calling 877-479-8178, either online or snail mail. That means like regular mail. 877-479-8178. We were talking to Dave in Texas. Dave, you want to just quickly rephrase your question to Bob Chapman, please?
Sure. My point was that I believe we should change out the money supply from the Federal Reserve for having money supply backed by assets directly through the Treasury, which is the constitutional procedure, and do away with the Federal Reserve system, because I think the Federal Reserve Act is unconstitutional, in my opinion, along with the 16th Amendment, among other things.
Okay, and and also Bob Chapman wrote about the Federal Reserve in his latest newsletter. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, I agree with him. It's as simple as that. And, I think gold is the ultimate backer of money. It has been for 6,000 years. I don't see any reason for it to change. And so that's the way to go. And, close down the Fed and any other private banks in the world that are acting for a nation or other nations. And the reason I say that is that the Bank of England, which is privately owned, acts for other nations as well. I think they should be all shut down. Let the Treasury departments in each separate nation make their own mistakes. I mean, that's what they did before 1913, and they didn't, do any better, no worse than the Fed is. So let's take it away from the private bankers who are getting rich on it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dave, for the phone call. Any other comment, Dave?
Quickly, a quick suggestion and a quick concern. I believe that a lot of people concerned about these FDIC banks could choose the alternative to go to credit unions backed by NCUA, which is actually right now better backed proportionally by its assets than most FDIC banks are. I'm concerned about FDIC's liquidity, and I'm also concerned about PBGC's liquidity. I don't want them to fail, but I fear if they don't restructure what they're doing now to keep them solvent, there's a risk of it.
Okay. And, let me just ask Bob, and PBGC is what?
That backs the pensions.
Okay. Bob, your response?
Yeah, and he's correct. They're behind the 8 ball, I think, for $23.4 billion right now. And that's totally funded by Congress. They're going to need $500 billion as well. So, as I said earlier in the program, Congress will allocate the FDIC and the Pension Retirement Fund probably with $500 billion each, because if the market on the Dow goes back to 6,600, many companies are going to be under stress. If it goes to 4,000, then they're going to have to cut payments or going to have to receive money from the United States government, and I think they'll get government money.
Okay. Thank you very much for the phone call. Any closing comments, Bob, because it's not looking real good. The stock market's down 182 now. We're not making anything. So you can put as much money in the economy as you want, and if nobody's making anything and we're all sweeping each other's houses to make a living, how could it possibly get any better? How do these people from Wharton School of Business think it's going to get any better?
Well, most of them have learned under Keynesian economics, and that is just, print money and create credit, and it'll work. And, of course, it won't work. But they don't go beyond that, because if they do, well, they lose their jobs.
Incredible. Thank you for joining.
Simple as that. And it's an incestuous system where, you don't disagree, even if the emperor is running around with no clothes on.
All these people are whistling in the dark looking for the emperor with no clothes, or looking at the emperor with no clothes. Bob Chapman, thank you for joining us in the Power Hour today.
You're welcome, and I'll see you next week.
You got it. 877-479-8178 is the phone number. We'll be back.